information that even humans with their vast brains struggle to comprehend. The contrast between the little insect and the immensity of its visual references reminds us in an oblique way of Hans Christian Andersen's story about a dung beetle. It's a charming story about a rather arrogant little dung beetle who lives in an emperor's stables. The emperor's horse is honored with golden shoes as a result of saving the emperor's life in battle. Upon seeing his neighbor the horse shod with golden shoes, the dung beetle sticks out his skinny little legs and demands golden shoes. The farrier declares him out of his senses, to which the dung beetle replies that he is equally a resident of the royal stables and therefore as worthy as the emperor's horse. The farrier absolutely refuses to provide the golden shoes, and so the beetle quits the stables in high dudgeon. This triggers a series of adventures in which the dung beetle fails to find either his place in the world or his own satisfactory identity. He does not really learn humility, but when he finally flies home to the emperor's stables, landing exhausted on the back of the favored horse, he reasons that the golden shoes on the horse were actually put there to honor him, the dung beetle. And so he is reconciled to his home. When we consider how vast our little planetarium dung beetle's view of the galaxy is, it might feel that it well deserves those golden shoes after all. As a group of scientists working on the spectacular adaptations of everything from the neural pathways in dung beetles' brains to their orientation and navigation abilities, we were contributing to an ever-increasing body of knowledge on the complexity and variety found in this large family of very successful insects. When we published our Milky Way results, the story was picked up way beyond the scientific literature and spread rapidly around the world. We were struck by how the story of a lowly dung beetle and the immense Milky Way engaged popular imagination when so much other information about dung beetles is equally impressive, if not even more fascinating. This realization prompted us to respond on behalf of these little creatures, which can be found on every continent except Antarctica, to show that they deserve better press than to be seen as mere dung grubbers, some of whom happen to orientate by the stars. Dung beetles appear in early creation myths and go on to take a central role amongst the Egyptians and their beliefs about life and death. Dung beetles' fortunes have fallen and risen with a shift from a world dominated by a religion that symbolically incorporated them in some of its key concepts of rebirth, to a world in which science has largely separated itself from religion. The ascendancy of the dung beetle in our collective knowledge mirrors the development of science during the past 5 centuries, how it moved from being a quest by individuals trying to substantiate the biblical version of creation to a pastime of well-heeled gentlemen in solitary pursuit of knowledge, to the dazzling but modest brilliance of Charles Darwin, and on to a collective of scientists engaging with increasing volumes of detailed data on animal and entomological development and behavior. It is the very nature of these scientific practices that have changed the way we understand and view dung beetles in our world, and their value to us as an important source of information about the way the world works. It is that story combined with their role in our most cherished beliefs, which turns these remarkable little dung consumers into creatures of immense interest. This book is the result first of musings, then of discussions between the 2 authors. We both realized that we could look at some of the history of the development of science in a microscopic way through a focus on dung beetles. They have been ever present in the history of the West, but oddly less so elsewhere in religion, art, literature, science, and the environment, and what we understand about them now mirrors our greater understanding of the important role they play in keeping our planet healthy. This is the story we explore in the following chapters. It is a story with a few unexpected twists, as it moves from the tombs of the pharaohs to the drawing rooms of the directors of the Dutch East India Company to the remote forests of Madagascar. It is a big story, carried on the back of a family of small creatures who seldom diverge from their dogged pursuit of dung in its infinite variety and abundant supply. Like the housemaids of Victorian Britain, who tended fires and households in the small hours while the empire swept